let's go ahead and get this started. I should really probably figure out if there's a way to auto-admit people.
Hey, Justin.
Hey, how
Yeah,
you
there's
doing?
probably a way.
Well, yeah, obviously you would assume that there's a way, but I'm not finding an easy button.
Yeah, I'm not seeing either.
Hmm. Oh well. No, it's not in the meeting details or settings or anywhere like that. Did I miss accepting somebody? Okay, I'm going to give people another couple of minutes to trickle in, and then we'll get started on today's um, update. I've taken the liberty of actually writing down some notes last time after the difficulty of trying to like outline everything that had been done. Most of this is concrete things that we have done rather than speculation, which you can find on the repo.
Hey, Justin, just a quick note
Mm-hmm.
here about auto admit. Apparently, you have to like directly invite people.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone joins from the link, then you'll have to admit them, unless they have the same domain as you in their email or like in their log.
Okay then. So maybe
Preferably,
moral of the story: maybe don't use Google Meet.
maybe there's apparently also an extension that'll just auto admit anybody as well. A bunch of people.
Somebody made a browser extension that just hits yes.
Not just someone, like it looks like a number of them. A number of people made different extensions for it.
Go. Okay, looks like this is it for this morning, or at least it for now. Um, and let's go ahead and sort of go over what we've. Wait, did Ethan make it in here? No, he didn't. I should probably shoot. Oh no, he did. He did. Um, okay, cool. So yeah, let's start with our first sort of operational announcements. We have funding provided by Unify DAO to accelerate Peggy development. And specifically, we are using that to bring on Ethan and Alex from Cosmwasm part time. And if you add up all of the part times, you get approximately 3 people now. So that's good, and we're still sort of dealing with the overhead of growing the team. Um, so ultimately, the goal of this extra funding is to both expand the feature set a little bit with better support for multiple ERC20s, and to try and bring the timeline as far forward as possible. So we're going to be trying to do this as fast as reasonably possible while writing code that works and is secure, because we know that there is huge demand from the entire Cosmos community to sort of have this ready as quickly as possible. Um, so, as for what we have done technically, uh, in the past 2 weeks or so. There has been a lot of there have been a lot of design refinements, and we've set up a repo with all of the sort of with all the things you would typically expect, issues, boards, CI, all of that sort of overhead stuff got done. It's at altheanet/Peggy for now, because I still don't feel comfortable. We're going to have to get the ICF at some point to archive or move. GitHub assumes that you have one repo with one set of issues, which works fine, but now we have sort of two forks. And until we go back and try and integrate some of the more trustless features from current Peggy master, it's sort of contradictory working on two different code bases with the same issue set and pull request space, etc. It doesn't really work well. So I think we may want to archive that repo or rename it at some point so that we don't lose all of the issues and the boards and all of that. But for now, we're on AltheaNet Peggy, and I figure I should give all of y'all this slide, this slide set. Let me put chat up here. Here we go. And so this has links to the files and such. The big, fairly straightforward thing that we got done was syncing signing across all of our different platforms here, because we have Solidity for the Ethereum contract, of course, Rust acting as a relayer and the as a relayer and the orchestrator, which we are renaming from Validator Daemon because apparently that caused confusion with a lot of people. Of course, Go for the Cosmos module and JavaScript for the Solidity tests. Yeah. General housekeeping, which is CI. Okay, I think I've hit most everything that I wanted to on this slide. I'm not going to try and bore you to death with PowerPoint here. I just wanted to try and organize my thoughts. So yes, we have. So we are renaming what was previously called the validator daemon, which is a sort of co-process that all the validators run in Peggy that manages the back and forth between Ethereum and the Cosmos SDK blockchain. It acts as an oracle for all the validators, etc., etc. We're just going to rename that the orchestrator to try and reduce confusion and make it clear, hopefully make its purpose a little bit more clear. And not sort of exist in the same namespace as the Cosmos SDK daemon, which is apparently a confusing issue, although I agree it is a little confusing. So this is sort of the validator set update flow. And what we managed to do is synchronize signing across all of these different applications, which means the orchestrator generates signatures that can be verified in the Cosmos module that can then finally be submitted to the Ethereum contract, and it's all the same signatures. I was really hoping to have this flow working end to end with a sort of, pretty dummy orchestrator that just moves stuff over. That didn't quite end up happening, mostly because we were occupied with some other design decisions. Specifically, we're going to be, so how should I put it? So Peggy has two separate, so the Peggy Ethereum contract currently has two endpoints, one to update the validator set and one to submit a transaction batch. And what we've done, there was previously no incentivization for submitting transaction batches. For submitting validator set updates. Submitting transaction batches is incentivized by fees that people lock up when they send their transactions over the bridge. And what that means is that theoretically somebody, it doesn't have to be a validator, it could be anyone, because moving signed data from Cosmos to Ethereum is trustless, would have to eat the $20 in gas fees every couple of days, or perhaps more if the chain was really undergoing a lot of governance churn. And that's not really a great situation. So after talking to Ethan and Alex, and having Jahan draw up a prototype, we ended up with a combined validator set and transaction batch interface, such that when you submit a transaction batch, it also updates the validator set. This means that you can take the cost of updating the validator set and it's simply added as overhead to the cost of the transaction batch, which already has an incentivization mechanism, and you're good. Um, Even better than that, it's actually cheaper to piggyback it since you can share signatures and it reduces the marginal cost increase. So this is a nice design change that I'm pretty happy with. But we're still gonna have to get the separate endpoints working first because yeah, these are very big signed messages, and at least for the signature part of all of this, you want to be working with something smaller, just so that you can figure out where your signing is going wrong. Um, yeah. So the last thing I sort of want to touch on before we open this up for actual discussion, questions, and all of that, is that we are looking for broken net validators for hopefully late September or early October. Um, and our goal, our milestone at that time, is to have a very simple version of a working bridge that can move at least one ERC20 token back and forth between a Cosmos test zone and the Rinkeby ETH blockchain. Um, I think this is pretty achievable, especially if we manage to avoid a lot of the edge cases. But this will be a broken net. We're calling it broken net for a reason. If you're not willing to debug potentially trivial things, you probably shouldn't participate. On the other hand, if you are, it will be helpful and hopefully let us streamline some of the like user interface components, because obviously we can do a lot of testing locally, but there are some bugs that you're only going to encounter in test nets. And when your primary goal is speed, or to bring timelines as far forward as possible, it's better to try and encounter those earlier rather than later. So yeah, that is the really sort of simple update. I think Ethan is here and wants to talk about a few things. Um, and then I guess we can open it up for questions. Well, I mean, people are free to ask questions at any time. Ethan?
Okay. I was waiting for you unmuted. It auto muted me. Hello.
Ah. Oh,
Um,
sorry. Is everybody else auto muted? Do I need to unmute
yeah.
people?
No, maybe they can self unmute. I
Okay, they
was
can
just
self
auto.
unmute. They're just auto
Yes.
muted. Okay.
I thought it said you are muted. Anyway, hello. Yes, cool. Working with this stuff. Lots of design stuff going on. Trying to clarify it. It's a very nice design before, and so a lot of what I did was try to write down a lot of what's in Justin and Johan's head, and so Alex and I could start committing to it. So a lot of this speed up is really getting up to speed, getting the validators on board, is getting all this stuff written down and coordinating us good. One of the main questions that came up public channels is what the security level is, and IBC compared to IBC. So I did some writing on it. It's in a design spec now, and that's some more. But I just want to say that I think the design is basically as secure as an IBC channel would be. Think about that, compare it, right? So an IBC channel between Ethereum, if it existed, right, and and this would basically be as secure as either owning 2/3 the validator set of the Peggy chain, or 50 be able to revert 50 blocks on Ethereum chain. So we say, and we assume that reverting 50 blocks in Ethereum chain is really, really hard. We assume that. So we say, well, the lower bound is as long as you maintain that you need 2/3 the validator set of the Peggy chain to do anything dishonest, then we have that level of security. And what we end up doing is defining a bunch of stuff in the spec. You can read it, but instead of having a full Ethereum light client, basically it's 2/3 of the validator set is of the chain is validating, is acting as a light client. And again, 2/3 of the validator set of the chain is acting as a light client from Cosmos to Ethereum. So in any case, all the places where you need a light client and proof of the chain, we have basically tied it to 2/3 of the validator set of the Peggy chain. which was our lowest security level we had from IBC. We have IBC anyway, and they're adding, it's looking to add slashing conditions on any misbehavior of those as well. So this should basically argue that's a design. It's more details in the design doc, but I think we went through this whole discussion, and the whole thing will basically have that you need 2/3 of the validating power of the Peggy chain to do a slashable offense to be able to double spend here. So that was a very nice overview of their stuff and going through it. And that's the question that came up. So I think it's actually a very, very nice design, how they came up with it. And it was nice to go through all the details.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, we just sort of farmed out the light clients to Ethereum full nodes, and then all of the validators run Ethereum full nodes, and then they can observe proofs exactly like it was a light client, just because they see it themselves instead of any sort of cryptographic proof. Then after that, it's all key management and a few different signatures. Um, but considering how much trouble it was just to get the same signatures to verify, across the entire stack of platforms, I'm very happy we're not trying to do a light client built into the Cosmos chain itself. It would have been an enormous pain.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have given you any security improvement anyway.
Yes.
just more headaches.
Just more days banging your head against the wall. Anyways, long story short, synchronizing signing in Go Ethereum is the most infuriating thing you will ever attempt to do in your life. Anyway, just their abstraction interface is not the best. Um, so yeah, I think that covers what we're working on immediately. I'm trying to sort of balance additional documentation with continuing to make progress on the core code base as quickly as possible. Um, so yeah, I am hoping that by the end of this week, or hell, tomorrow or the next day, um, I will finally have some data being signed and sent all the way from Ethereum, well, no, from Cosmos to Ethereum in our little testnet environment. And then, after that, we'll be refining a lot of these workflows and handling a lot of edge cases. Um, but for the most part, the really hard underlying, how should I put it? So the cryptography infrastructure is all there now. So that's really good. Because that means that we don't have to worry about signatures too much, except in terms of getting the data in place. Um, we figured out the incentive structure for the contract, which is good because it means we know we don't need to worry about uh, who's going to pay for validator set updates. Um, yeah, we really just need to get a lot of the really nitty details, which is obviously why Ethan and Alex and Jahan have been focusing a lot on documentation, um, and that yeah. So once we get those really nitty details down, like who exactly signs off for every message in any given block and how exactly a transaction batch is submitted, then we're pretty much ready to go to our broken net at least, where we will inevitably find a hugely larger number of issues. Um, it is my sincere goal to have this ready for a all up testnet with multiple ERC20s in the November timeframe. Um, so that's sort of November, December, and I think that will be a real incredible achievement if we manage to get that. But I also think that it's very doable given the design and the resources currently available to us. So yeah, are there any other questions? Any interest in getting involved? Any because if anyone wants to tackle an issue or anything like that, I would be happy to pull you into the channel and outline how to go about stuff.
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
I just missed what the last part of what you said about the timeline. You said November, December for which?
For a testnet implementation. So an implementation that is theoretically ready to run in production, where we testnet it. Sorry, so I should make that clear. I'm thinking hopefully an incentivized testnet. Um, we'll see if we can get the money for that. But that's sort of my point. I would like to do in November a test net that could potentially be incentivized, which is essentially finalizing the software and getting it ready to ship, or go and be audited and potentially have a few more changes. And then after that, it's up to zones to adopt it as they will. We, Althea, do intend to launch our Althea blockchain in roughly that time frame, if at all possible. Provided that the testnet is successful and reveals no critical flaws, which we don't expect. We would like to move forward with launching our chain as quickly as possible. And I think I've noted this before. We really do want to see Peggy on the hub, but we're also going to launch our own chain with Peggy just to kind of take more control of the timeline. Even though Peggy on the hub would ultimately be better for us from a fees perspective. I think, Ethan, you're also interested in launching a zone running Peggy, or is it just your own zone, or I'm missing a
Yeah,
lot of details there?
we're planning to integrate tardigrade, and we'd launch with Peggy as well. We'd like to integrate that in there as well. Time frame is Q1 sometime, so you'd probably have yours out first. But we want to have it so we have access directly between DeFi contracts in Cosmos and DeFi contracts in Ethereum, and have the first path there. I'm not sure when IBC is ready, so we're just going to have that there. But I'm happy to, if there's a big bandwidth in the hub, I'm happy later. But we'll probably have it on testnet as well. We'll be doing testnets also in Q4, and happy to try out a testnet there as well. So yeah, we're going to have a few different testnets banging in this and see how they work, especially if they have IBC going.
Yeah, that's going to be fun, I'm sure. Well, cool. If there aren't any other questions, then I guess I'll go ahead and let everybody go early. And then we can, yeah, and then I look forward to seeing you all in the next couple of weeks, where we'll hopefully have more of a semi-working demo or semi-working test for everyone to play around with. And of course, once that's ready, I'll be putting out a blog post about it too. Okay, thank you, everybody. Gavin?
Oh, I was just going to say it's really exciting. Thanks for hosting us.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. It'll be up on YouTube in a few minutes, anyways. So talk to all of y'all later, and I hope you have a nice day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.